Tomb Raider came out in 2013, and it was the first game in what became known as the Survivor trilogy. I absolutely love this game, and I've played through it more times than I can count. And I thought, since I love it so much, why'd I do a challenge run that's going to make me absolutely hate it? Today, I set out to find the answer to a question that nobody asked. Can you beat Tomb Raider without taking damage? The rules are simple. Taking any damage at all, whether that's from enemies, falling, or stubbing my pinky toe on a tree while plummeting towards the earth, results in me having to reset from the last checkpoint. With enemies that unload on you like they have a tiny sweatshop manufacturing ammo in their jackets, and sections of this game where you're fighting 20 of them at a time, taking damage is inevitable. There will be pain, there will be agony, and no drywall is safe. The game starts off with Laura being captured. She wakes up, finds herself being hung upside down, sets herself on fire, and then immediately takes damage. Mission failed. However, the damage is scripted, so we won't count it, and that'll be the case for the rest of the game too. Moving on, we blow up this man's home. I forget how to do this puzzle, and we blow up his home some more. To take the award for the worst house guest ever, Laura kicks her gracious host in the head and ends up getting him killed. Our crew has wrecked our ship and became, you guessed it, shipwrecked on this island. So now we need to try and find the others. I show off my expert hunting skills, let them know I don't like their music, and I keep going until I meet up with Sam and the C-list Batman villain, Matthias. Seriously, tell me this man doesn't sound like he has a plan to blow up Gotham.
This place would make anyone a little jumpy.
Sam and Matthias yap and yap about story this, exposition that, and Laura decides she doesn't care and goes to sleep. Eventually we find ourselves captured again, this time by Matthias's goons, and we get into the meat and potatoes of this run. A little stealth here, a little stealth there, and oops, didn't stealth too good that time. I outskill him with quick time events, shoot him in both heads, and I'm on my merry way. The early part of this game isn't too bad. It's pretty easy to not take damage. The enemies only have bows and melee weapons, which really isn't too bad to avoid. But that doesn't stop me. I get snuck by this guy and have to reset for the first time. I'm not going to go over every time I have to reset, otherwise we'd be here all day. But from now on, I'm just going to put a reset counter at the top so you can get a better understanding of my suffering. I meet up with the guy who invented IRAs, don't raid a tomb, and gained the ability to climb. And climb I do. To 5 more resets on 3 enemies that I had completely forgotten about because they pose 0 threat in a normal playthrough. I put 15 years of Assassin's Creed experience to use, used slightly excessive force on this guy, and have my retinas singed. I managed to get through the next few sections without too much trouble and eventually climbed to the top of the radio tower. I signal for help, and I'm starting to think that Laura might be a pyromaniac. They say that lightning doesn't strike twice, but it sure struck this plane twice. To get payback for bringing them here, the pilot aims the plane right at me. That'll teach me to try and get rescued again. I slide my way to another reset, destroy some affordable housing, and see if I can loot the dead pilot. I cannot. Laura goes up the hill and gets caught in a trap, and it's finally here. The moment I've been dreading since the start of this run. The enemies have automatic weapons now. Oh, but watch out, because I can put a rope on my arrows. I sat here and got my ass handed to me for longer than I'd like to admit. But eventually, through absolutely 0 adaptation and only ramming my head against a wall, they were bested. The other pilot radios for help, and hoping that I can loot this one, I set off to find him. On the way, I stop off at the Hall of Ascension. It's not like that guy's dying or anything, I'm sure he's fine. I definitely complete this puzzle on the first try, and Laura gives some warning shots to let the enemies know that she's on her way. I eventually find the pilot, and he's not doing too hot. Sorry man, you know I had to get that weapon part. I'm sure you understand. Matthias literally burns the bridge between us, and I'm saved by some ancient samurai. I'm not sure. I've played this game so many times, I have no idea what the fuck they are. Regardless, they don't kill us for some reason, and I have to escape through this absolute fucking mountain of bodies. Who are these people? Surely they all can't be Matthias's guys, right? Anyways, I take more unavoidable damage, get the shotgun, probably release some ancient curse, and show these idiots what a real gamer looks like. Inching towards escape, Laura jumps to safety. This guy doesn't take too kindly to being shotgunned in the face, and I cause even more property damage to this priceless ancient infrastructure. Laura slips and slides her way down into a cave, and finds out that Sam's been kidnapped by Matthias and is being held in some old Japanese palace. What is it with this group and getting kidnapped? Happens about 10 different times in this game. Get it together, guys. Come on. Making my way towards the palace, I channel Katniss Everdeen and run up on a group of enemies that missed their calling as Navy SEALs. They systematically dismantled me over and over again. Because of this, I needed a new approach to combat. So I reached deep into my bag of tricks, and I ended up utilizing an ancient mind technique known as the peekaboo. To pull off the peekaboo, you get behind cover, pre-aim, and peek over just long enough to get a single shot off. If you do it right, you shouldn't get shot. This technique is only going to become more important the later we get into the run. After taking a moment to collect ourselves, we get swept away by the river, and that plane is back to finish the job. I reset 3 times from a tree, and we arrive at the shantytown.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
Battered and bruised from the ass beating that tree just gave, Laura takes some more unavoidable damage, and this guy decides that he's going out on his own terms. We make our way over to the helicopter, and unlucky, looks like Lewis has already been here.
Pills here! Pills here! Grab and peel. Grab and peel.
We get the ability to shoot fire arrows, and this is when the difficulty really kicks up a notch. Some might have said, this is where the real game begins. The shantytown is as close to cock and ball torture as I've ever known. Enemies surround you from all angles, and even your cover gets destroyed. But I slammed some G Fuel, and I managed to get through this section in only 10 attempts. I was fully expecting to be here for hours, but I found that if you sit in this section on the right and pray to every god that you do and don't believe in, you can funnel the enemies and pick them off with barrels and get the stragglers one by one. Riding that high, I work my way through another group of enemies and make it to the next holdout section. This area has limited cover, and the enemies are coming at you like you're playing COD zombies. I have to reset a few times here, but with some strategic utilization of the red barrels and a generous checkpoint about halfway through the fight, we are successful. We were rewarded by this victory with a section that's somehow even worse. Grim is in danger of being kidnapped, and if this group's track record is anything to go off of, he doesn't stand a chance. I'm forced to hold out against another group of enemies. This time they bring grenades, zip lines, and a guy who likes to make really loud noises. Unfortunately for him, Laura doesn't like loud noises. We make our way up and unleash the peekaboo on this poor unsuspecting group of enemies, and let's be honest, they never stood a chance. We ride over on a box and uh-oh, it's a trap. By this point, I'm starting to get a good understanding of how to play this game to avoid taking damage. I play this one slow, and I'm able to get through on my first try. Grim, knowing that I'll be punished by the Tomb Raider gods for my triumph in this, sacrifices himself in an attempt to ease my future suffering. Roth makes his return and 360 no-scopes 2 enemies. Where was that 20 minutes ago, man? With his help, we're able to make it up to the bridge leading to the palace where Sam's being held. There are too many enemies, so Laura has to go underneath. They figure out my plan, I fall to my death, and I find Sam about to be sacrificed by Matthias. I stop her from getting Salem witch trialed, let Matthias live because we're only halfway through the game, and end up getting captured myself. I escape from Vlad and Chad or whatever, and land in a river of blood. Totally normal, no cause for concern here. Little did I know that this would actually end up being a metaphor of things to come. We get introduced to the mechanic of blowing shit up, and I make my way through the caves. Eventually, I run into the rest of my crew who have also been fucking captured. Holy shit, please stop. I don't save myself, save Alex, Jonas, and I guess Reyes, and then I head off to get Sam. I fall to my death again, get shot in the face a couple times, and run into the definitely not working for Matthias now, Dr. Whitman. This next fight signals the start of an ass pounding so brutal that I had to sit on an inflatable donut for a week after. Attempt after attempt, death after death, reset after reset, I was getting put into an absolute blender. Grenades pushing me from my cover, full auto fire coming from every direction. This was a direct assassination attempt on this no damage run. Making it through this section required a little bit of luck. I had to hope that every time I went to kill someone, nobody else decided to shoot at me at that exact moment. Eventually I do get that luck and make it to where these spear fellas come in and immediately ass blast me. Luckily they gave me a checkpoint though, and I'm able to get them on my next try. I'm able to get through this next hallway section with no problem, and then I'm introduced to these assholes on turrets. I scramble my way up to the scripted event and take them out, but believe me, that will not be the last that we see of these losers. The game gives us a grenade launcher and expects us to mow through these next enemies with ease, but unlucky for me, I'm playing on hard and it does not one-shot these guys. I take a few resets here and think, oh, maybe this part of the game won't be so bad. Wrong. This next section took years off of my life, and as someone with a history of high blood pressure in their family, I almost called it right here. I get stuck in this narrow alley fighting against what felt like 50 enemies hiding high and low. They straight up hit me with the reverse Spartan 300 strategy. I was here for well over an hour. The only thing I could do was play it slow and hope that I didn't get hit by anyone that I couldn't see. And that's eventually what I did. And what's my reward for finally getting through that section, you might ask? Well, remember about 45 seconds ago when I said that wouldn't be the last we saw of the turret dudes? Here he is. Fuck this guy. This is the only person in this game that I hate more than Reyes. The game does not intend for you to get through this section without getting hit. This guy has his right trigger glued down, and as if that wasn't enough, there are normal enemies up on a ledge that you have to deal with too. The key to getting through this is to get lucky enough to not have one of the enemies spawn up on the ledge to your right, spam dodge and hope you don't get hit, climb up this wall, hope the enemy isn't there, take out the guys across the way before getting shot, somehow manage to zipline across without getting shot again, and then still take damage because it's impossible to hit him with a grenade launcher from this window without getting hit. This guy farmed me for even longer than the last section. He bent me over repeatedly, and I was really giving up hope this time. It was like that one Tom Cruise movie where he just dies over and over again. Every now and then I would make it to the end just to get shot in that window. I saw this little gap where I could shoot my grenades through. It didn't work the first few times, but eventually, I'm really not sure what happened, but I guess the explosion from the grenade made him get off the turret. Whatever, I will take it. With him abandoning his post, I was able to lean out of the window and take out his turret. With this hell behind us, we do a little platforming, submit our audition to the newest Michael Bay movie, and jump off of a cliff. We get to the helicopter and Laura holds the pilot at gunpoint to crash it. He obliges, Roth uses Laura as a human shield, and then he dies. It's a small price to pay though, because we get those sweet signature dual pistols. The gang gets back together, Reyes continues to be a massive bitch, and Laura figures out where the final fight of the game's gonna be. She makes her way towards the beach to meet up with the others to share what she's learned. Along the way, I realize I've had eagle vision this entire time, put on a masterclass in stealth, and raid yet another tomb. We crawl through some caves, reminisce about old times at the shantytown, and have to fight our way off the Flying Dutchman ship. At least we don't have to go through the perfume department. I forget how quick time events work and make it down to the beach with the others. Strange how they got here so easily, and I'm literally fighting people on a hanging ship. Maybe Laura needs to learn how to route better. Jonah needs something for something, and obviously is Laura to the rescue. I make my way over to the ship, take out 2 enemies, learn which way not to go, and get the thing that Jonah needs. I make it back, and here comes Dr. Whitman with the performance of the century.
Jonah, help!
All right, daytime Emmy.
Alex went to the wrecked ship, and he's been gone for a while, so Laura decides to go after him. On the way, I fall to my death for the millionth time, make this puzzle my bitch, and give the reload checkpoint button a workout. The verticality in this fight made it pretty annoying, but we eventually make it through. I zipline myself down to the ship, and we have our first encounter with this behemoth of a man. What the hell are they feeding this guy? He should be on an O-line in the NFL, not on this island working for Matthias' dumbass. This fight isn't hard. You just dodge him a few times, shotgun him in the face, and it lets you hit him with a quick time event. But somehow, I kept fucking that up, and I took way more resets than I should have. After using all 5 of my brain cells to hit the Y button at the right time, the game decides that I haven't suffered enough and freezes. I have to reset the checkpoint, and I eventually muster up the brain power to do it again. We progress through the ship until we reach Alex, who's really gotten himself into a predicament here. I get reminded that electricity hurts, and we can't free Alex in time. Laura gives him a consolation smooch, and we're back off to the beach. Laura tells the others that she needs to learn more about the storms, and Reyes does not help her case against being the worst character of all time. I call down the elevator, climb, and then this guy decides that arrows don't hurt. I make my way down into the research facility, take out the guards, and accidentally skip this entire puzzle. Speedrunners, hit me up. I use up all of my luck there, and I immediately get hit. I make my way down to the tomb to raid it, and they figure out that I'm here. They send waves of enemies to repeatedly ass blast me until I'm finally able to clear them all. Seriously, if the checkpoints in this game weren't as generous as they are, I'd be screwed. I show off my mastery of QuickTime events, play Walking Through a Cave Simulator, and tell the crew that we have entered the endgame now. We take our boat inland, find out that Dr. Whitman really should have brushed up on his Japanese, and oh yeah, Sam's been kidnapped again. You probably could have guessed that by now though. We follow Matthias and Sam into the samurai village and have to sneak past their parade. I have no clue how they didn't see me here. Did they evolve to not have eyesight or something? I eventually do get spotted and have to take out a few of them. It's honestly kind of adorable trying to watch them kill me with their swords. Welcome to the 21st century, nerds. Now we come up on what's probably the biggest fight of the entire game so far. These guys are relentless. The real problem here is the archers. They'll snipe your ass from every which direction. However, You can use the environment to cut off their lines of sight and force them to have to come to you. Once they start running at you, you can pick them off one by one. That does not mean that I didn't struggle with this fight though, because I absolutely did. There are just so many ranged enemies, and Lara's arsenal isn't the best for long range fights. I found the best weapon was the pistol, because it was usually a one-shot headshot and it was the most accurate at range. I played slow long enough to make it to Fat Bastard, and I'm eternally grateful that he gets a scripted death and I didn't have to fight him. Here we reach the point of no return. We're nearing the final fight now, and before we get there, we have to make a pit stop at this mini boss fight. This stupid fucking wind puzzle had me losing my mind. I know that I was doing it right, but I could just not get the barrel to catch the wind. I even looked it up online, and I saw other people having the same issue. Some people were getting it to work by just resetting the checkpoint, but of course, that didn't work for me. Eventually, I just got so frustrated that I flung my body at the door and I just clipped through it. I have no idea. Once my blood pressure dropped, we made our way to the final fight of the game. Here's where I wish I could say that I got throttled by the last encounter and I had such a miserable time, because honestly, that'd be better content. But no, I popped off. By this point in the game, I had refined my peekaboo technique to near perfection. I got through 90% of this fight in a single try. Truly one of the gaming moments of all time. But eventually, Chekhov's BMI calculator went off and Fat Bastard makes another appearance. Unlucky for him, Laura's got her doctorate and she studied under Dr. Now. He gets me a few times, but remembering what I learned on the ship, I take him down pretty easily. This fight's all about just managing him while taking out the mob enemies and then focusing on him. After killing him, that's it. We roll up to Matthias, and we let him know that his theory on how to leave the island is wrong by shooting him in the face repeatedly. We stop Himiko from transferring her soul into Sam, I think, and we're finally allowed to leave the island. We regroup with the others, sail off into the sun, and we did not beat Tomb Raider without taking damage.
Need anything? Don't really know what happened to you on that island, judging from those wounds and that look in your eyes.